Hey everybody, how's it going? Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit, and I have with me today some garbage that I'm going to make into a hovel or hut or home that hangs in the Undercity underneath the main city where all the poor people were forced to live. So the first thing I want to do is I want to create a platform where this box is going to be perpendicular to the ground, not these slopes, but the actual plane of the box. Okay, so to do that, I'm just going to get a couple little plastic whatever these things are, counting blocks. I swear I had two of them. Let me get another one. And you could use any little chunks of wood or anything you had. I have these and they just seem like they'd be good. And that kind of does what I want. Is it perfect? Not really. Is it close? Definitely ballpark. Okay, so once I get it kind of where I want it to sit perpendicular to the ground, I'm just going to slide it around. I'm going to lift this up and get a little glue under there to hold that down. Now, we want to use some stuff to make this look interesting. So I was thinking we could have a piece of this here and make it like a watchtower. And I want to keep my nice flat spot on the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get it roughly mounted so it's straight up and down the best I can get it. So I have a flat surface for my tower, and I'm going to come around the bottom of this and certify that. Okay, then we'll let that cool. And then we're going to need a platform up here that sits flush too. So let me get two more of my counting blocks. And I need to get a platform. So let me find a piece of cardboard. I have this interesting shape right here. Okay. Let's see if that sits kind of flush. Looks pretty perpendicular to the ground. And I think we can get away with just one block back there. So we're just going to use one to save resources. And I'm going to get this, put a little bit of glue there. I'm going to stick it there. Now there has to be a way to get access to this roof area, you would think. Let me cut something to be like a lip on there. Something like that. Oops. Okay. And little by little, we'll start starting this up. We need something up here for a roof there, and I think I can find something for that. Okay. And this will work. And this will just look like a piece of cheaply made corrugated metal, hopefully. And that won't be sturdy unless it has some supports. And we'll just cut a couple more pieces. Just sturdy that up. Whoa. I think I had entirely too many adult beverages last night, and it's a little noticeable. My father's retirement party was last night. It was a great fun. We were at the Irish pub, and I don't think the owners are Irish anymore. I think it's now kind of a just in general pub, but it was still very nice. Very nice time. Super good. All right, now let's see if this is cool and snip some of that excess crap off. And we need a walkway that kind of leads up there. So to make that, I'm just going to get this extra piece of paper here. And I'm going to cut something about as tall as that. Maybe a little bit more off of that. Okay. I'm going to cut that at an angle down. There we go. Something like that. I want to put the bigger one in the back and the smaller one in the front. I'm just going to get a little line of hot glue here. Okay. There we go. We want to make it as playable as possible. So we want to make that at least wide enough for a miniature or two to stand on it. And we're going to need some steps. That is a lot bigger than I wanted. Traditional miniature bases are about an inch. Okay. All right. Now, assuming this is the future and safety is not as prevalent or important as it once was, because if people die, they can just be brought back by the Me Too company. let's get a railing up here so that miniatures don't fall off. And to make that railing, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab some sprue. And roughly, let me bring this up so you can see what I'm doing, and roughly glue that in place to be some kind of safety railing. And then we'll put one on the back. And this is going to give it kind of an industrial look. All right. We're going to do a little railing back there, and I think we're going to do that a little different. I think what we're going to do, we're just going to get some sprue pieces and glue those kind of vertical-ish. They can be a little janky. I think that'd be okay, and even a little bit worth doing it janky on purpose. And we could probably use one more section. Okay. Let's make sure we can still get a miniature around everywhere we can. Okay, so we're about having a place of happiness with this up here. For that railing, I have a piece of rubber hose. I'm not sure how good that would be. That might be a little too sturdy. Maybe I can heat that up and make it less sturdy. Look at that, I sure can. It's not quite long enough to go the whole distance, but I'm not going to sweat it. In a world where terrible welds rule the day, hope that holds. Looks like it wants to. Okay. Now, how do they get up here from down here? Well, we're going to cut a hole in the side. To do that, I had a circle that might work. Yeah, look at that. We'll glue this circle on and use that as a kind of guide to cut out. I think that'll help. This circle is from something. It's from like a tic-tac-toe thing. So we'll rough that up because it's kind of a shiny. Not sure how well it's going to take glue or paint. And this probably would have been easier to do in the beginning instead of now, if I'm going to be honest. But it's okay. Ship sailed. Game over. Now we got to do it this way. More of that bad future welding, unfortunately, for the people that live there. We'll let that start to cool. And we'll try to follow that hole the best we can. Okay. Now we need a walkway coming out the side here. This could be like a cover over the entryway so that you could stand outside and not get shit dripping on your head. Or it could be a nice little one of those. For our purpose, it's going to be a nice little one of those things where people walk out onto it. Alright, that is not tall enough. Seems relatively sturdy, and we're going to make a way to go up the side here. And I don't know if we're going to get too fancy about that. What I think we're going to do is glue a panel up the side of this. Just like that, and then put some sprues and toothpicks in it to be a ladder. I have a walkway coming up here. So to make our walkway sturdy, we're going to get some cardstock. Let's see what kind of sprue pieces I have laying around to make my ladder with. Mistakes were made. I don't have any more of that sprue over here. Hold on. This life ain't good enough. I earn my world to change. And I'm just cutting this up. I'm keeping all those little extra sprue pieces because those are useful for all kind of shit. And I saw a video where people melt it in acetate, maybe? I don't know if I'm all about that. It sounds kind of like a bad idea to me. Well, hell. And maybe one more of those. After this. Okay. Now let's clean up some of this area by hiding some of that corrugation. And I don't care if it's perfect. I'm just going to run a strip up the side to kind of hide all that because I'm getting lazier. Okay. Everything's pretty sturdy. Let's make some decorative type stuff. And by decorative, I mean let's make some metal platings to break up the perfection of design. Those scissors are not cutting shit. Okay, now on the inside there we need a floor or two. So what we're going to do is just piecemeal cut something that'll fit in there at about that level. Too small. Get something like that. And a piece of cardstock. Will that fit on there? Yeah, it will. Check this shit out. We're going to be fancy for a moment. All right, we're going to need to let that cool. Scissors would have been gooder. I think it's a little bit bigger than I wanted. So I'm just going to come back in. Trim it down. Snip off some parts that I hate. Glue it back there. And I'm just going to make some more pieces. Kind of I just made a crack in the floor there, and I'm just going to cover it with some floor plates to show that they've repaired it. How much effort you put into decorating the inside of this is completely up to you, I suppose, since you're the one doing the work. But I just want to add a couple more detail stuffs just to make it a little more interesting for me and my players. I have decided I want this to be elevated up more. Got some kind of house fire started here. That's okay. Okay, house fire stopped. That's a good sign. Let's get a little bit of railing going on out here. Oh, I know what we can do. This stuff is awesome for any kind of future crap. Nope. Come back here, you. Dry up. Get another one of those going. Okay. Okay, now this gives us some extra pieces to give some texture anywhere you would want, where you think it's necessary. For example, you could throw a little bit there. Something like that. We do need better railings now. For this, the safety of this public walkway. I think that using cardstock could be good, or you could use these deals. These would be nice for that. Add some sturdiness if you have some laying around. All right, so now we have something like that. We're pretty much done. You could be done. You could have been done. And the paint job on this is going to be superiorly easy. I'm just going to get a little more glue in that hole at the bottom where I burnt that pipe out. And then we're going to get a piece of plastic or something. I'm going to use the outside, the shiny portion of this Pop-Tarts box here. Okay. I'm going to get some super glue in there. In theory. Maybe. Nope. Oh, that's how you drop things. Oh, getting old. Sorry about that. I have to get some glue here. Put it in that little cup thing. And these are from water paintings or gem paintings or something, bead paintings that my wife and mother do. Gosh darn it. That glue is leaking everywhere. I just opened it and it's all over the place. I don't know why. I'll just throw it away or something. Put it on a piece of cardboard for now so it doesn't get everywhere. That's already everywhere. All right. So these are flat on one side and curved on the other. If you just dip them in glue and leave them where you want them, they make amazing little rivets. And they'll make a project like this just a tiny bit more exciting. You don't have an enormous amount of time to depending on how much glue you get on the back of this to move these around. So keep that in mind. Social inappropriateness. Interesting topic. The world has changed drastically over the past few years. Don't need a whole lot more than that. This is going to get, I need it elevated some. So probably the easiest way to do that is to get, I have alphabet blocks out. That's probably the easiest way to elevate this. Okay, so to get this thing up off the ground, we're just going to get some blocks. Okay, there we go. Nice. And you can connect walkways in between facilities as you see fit. This is actually not a bad build because it's going to be easy to paint. I have a lot of spider webs. Alright, well, as I'm painting them, I'll find more. So anyways, I'm going to spray paint this in black. Then I'm going to spray paint parts of it in red primer. And then I'm going to spray paint it with metallic finish, which is like a chrome almost. And I'm just going to dust it with that. And then we'll come back and paint this thing up and decorate it and add some stuff. One of the important things we'll need to add is like moss and maybe a small mushroom farm. So we'll see. Hey, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.